Hi everyone, and welcome to our anticipated release video of March 2018. I sounded so much better the second time. My name is Mike.
Right? I am Nick.
And I'm Travis, and this is our second one?
This is our second time recording it because Nick's Wi-Fi sucks. Hey!
Yeah, and Nick sucks too, but we'll talk about that.
That's true. But anyway.
I was just going to say that there's a lot of really awesome games that are coming out this month. I feel like last month kind of sucked. There's a lot more cool stuff this month. I'm actually going to deviate and talk about a few other games like very shortly later on in this video. But like usual, we all have our two main games that we want to talk about. So who would like to start?
You know what? I'll give it a shot.
Good luck.
So, thank you. So my first game is, again, I'm going to be talking about this really shortly because I have a different anticipated release that's going to come along later. Like usual, short, sweet, to the point on the first one. And that's Sea of Thieves. And for those of you who didn't see, I believe it was released at an E3 a couple years ago. You got to see some people playing it, and the multiplayer aspect looks amazing. I cannot wait for some big people on, or maybe not even big people, just people to play it on YouTube. I feel like it's so much fun. You see like two people in different kinds of ships and whatnot, and I know again for me graphics don't matter, but the water, I don't know why, but the water in this game looks especially cool. So it seems like a lot of fun. I think it is going to be a lot of fun, and I believe it's also for PC, so possibly Travis, you might look into this game. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Hey.
You and CJ, I don't know. But anyway, it does look fun. It does look like a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it does.
I think apart from anything else. Well, first of all, you mentioned the graphics. I think the graphics are interesting because it's not like a high-def, incredibly like realistic graphic game like Assassin's Creed Origins. It has sort of its own unique style with it. But it's still awesome, like you said. The water looks great, not because it looks realistic, but because it's sort of a unique, original look for it. So I think that's what's super cool about it. But then I just love ocean games. I love the ocean as like a setting, and being able to like ride your own pirate ship, and like you don't just fight other people too. You also like fight like the Kraken. I saw a really cool video of that. So there's a lot of like just awesome little things like that in the game. I feel like they put a lot of good work into this game, and so I'm really hoping that this one comes out good.
Yeah, it's like you're in the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, but instead you're like a cartoon character,
right?
And you get to fight other pirates.
It's the
and
cute
you don't
version.
just die. Yeah, well, not really a cute version. I don't know. I think the graphics are pretty solid though.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if anything, it'll look from art style more, and this game does have a distinct art style that looks like it'll be a good fit for the kind of game that it's going for.
Right, exactly. So I'll let Travis go next.
Okay, so I will start off with saying a virtual reality game, because those always kind of fascinate me, and that is Bravo Team. It's going to be on the PlayStation VR, and what I think looks really cool is the graphics do look pretty insane, but based on what I've actually watched from the trailers is that you're not really like moving that much yourself, because I know whenever I played Skyrim on CJ's PlayStation VR, I always get so motion sick after, just running around for like 5 minutes, whereas like the ones where it's like the action kind of comes to you, I feel like I can withstand a lot longer. So I do appreciate that they are making a longer game, but it's still in that kind of aspect where I won't feel super barfy playing for just 5 to 10 minutes.
Right.
Which is definitely good if you're going for a horror game kind of experience.
Exactly.
You don't want to be in that way.
Yeah, because like Bravo Team is like, shooting soldier missions, but it's super cool looking.
The only other one, I can't remember what it was called, but there was a PS virtual reality game. I'll put it on the screen so people know, just because I'm not going to remember.
Was it like the one where you were like the siege and you were like robbing the place? And
No, Riggs, I think is what it was called. It was like a shooter, like competitive game was the whole point. Like they kind of wanted an MLG virtual reality game, and it made you super dizzy was the only problem with it. Because outside of that, it was really fun. And I almost think if it wasn't virtual reality, it would have been fun. So like I look at something like Bravo Team as almost like an improved version. Not that Bravo Team's a competitive game, but like just the shooting aspect. I think it can be done really well. It's just when you think of like warfare and stuff, it seems like, oh, it's so high paced and stuff that it seems like that'd be hard to do in virtual reality.
Right.
But like you said, this one seems like it will do a pretty good job of it. So we'll see.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Mike,
okay.
You want to go ahead?
Yes, I will do mine. And I guess my first one will be Kirby Star Allies. Now, the main reason that I want to mention this game is mostly because we're primarily a Nintendo channel, though sometimes it doesn't seem that way. And this is the first Kirby game to come out on the Nintendo Switch, which is super awesome because we've already kind of talked about how the Switch needs to have like the major franchises for Nintendo, and we already have like Zelda and Mario Kart and stuff. So it's really cool that Kirby's finally coming out, because even though I haven't played a ton of the Kirby games, this one kind of feels like Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, a game that came out a while ago for the Wii. And that game is super fun. The way that the multiplayer worked in that game, though, was that I believe everyone in that game played as Kirby or like a clone of Kirby, and so it felt kind of repetitive. This one feels like an improved version of it, because in this game you don't play as Kirby, but you play as like the enemies, which is what like the original Kirby. I believe it was Return to Dreamland that did it. I could be wrong, but one of those original multiplayer Kirby games where you actually play as the enemy itself.
Yeah.
So
well, I think. Wait, if you're talking about Kirby's Return to Dreamland, I believe that's the one with Meta Knight and King Dedede, right? When you get to do kind of like a multiplayer aspect to going through the levels.
You might be right.
I think that's the one I'm talking about. I'm gonna do a quick check just to be sure. But yeah, it does actually look like a lot of fun. But I'm with you. I mean, the main kind of staples that Nintendo has for almost every console have to be there. Like Kirby's been there since what is it? Since
Ever.
like the Game Boy.
I want to say it was on the NES.
Was it on the NES? I know Metroid was on the NES,
SNES
which they're bringing
maybe? I don't
Metroid
know.
back, which is nice. But I mean, like other games like Mario, obviously Zelda and whatnot. Like those are games that like has been on main series like Nintendo consoles as it goes along. And I think right now it's just like it's Kirby's time, I guess, to be there. So yeah. So I'm actually really looking forward to it.
Yeah, this one definitely looks like it'll be a really good one. As far as the reviews go, everything I've heard so far points to this one being a hit. So let's stay hopeful for that.
Yeah, and just as a heads up, it looks like Kirby's Return to Dreamland. It looks like you can play as, like, just from the thumbnail that I see, you can be, like, DDD, Meta Knight, and Waddle Dee as well.
Okay,
so.
then like I did last time, I'll put the picture of the game that I was talking about, because clearly I'm totally off today. So I'll just keep correcting myself.
Yeah, that's what I did see people play with Kirby's Return to Dreamland. That one looks like a lot of fun, too, but
Yeah, for sure.
Either way. But I was going to say, are we ready for my second one?
Yes, we are.
So my second one is going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to be talking about Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom, and there's a couple reasons why this is anticipated for me and not as well. So again, as Mike pointed out, like the last time, we had the Metal Gear game that came out in February, or at least is supposed to come out in February. That is really one of the reasons why it wasn't as seen as like it's an anticipated release, but because you want to see how it does is because of Konami and Kojima. And this one is more of a one where I'm kind of skeptical of as well, because I guess a little bit of a backstory. I'll keep it short, sweet, to the point. A guy that I used to work with, his name's Josh. Ni no Kuni 3, his favorite game of all time. And one of the things that he kind of told me about it, the Ni no Kuni series, was one of the whole capture mechanics. So, I mean, one of the biggest series that has that capture mechanic is Pokemon. So you get to capture certain creatures, have them battle alongside you. I think you, as your character, gets to battle as the avatar as well.
Nick, you know what's sad?
What?
I was just immediately thinking of Mario for a franchise that has had a capture feature.
Well, because of Odyssey, which... Okay, has a capture... I should be more specific. Has a capture ability like Pokemon. So you can get these creatures to fight alongside you, but I'm looking at this Ni no Kuni, or it's like since the beginning, Ni no Kuni, like you kind of had this capture mechanic, and he told me it's like, imagine it's like, as he told me it's a lot like Pokemon, but with more moves, and I was like, huh, this is kind of interesting. But now that I'm looking at this Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom one, it's kind of, because Pokemon kept that same kind of 4-move system all the way throughout its development. Yeah, you kind of had Mega Evolutions and Z moves and whatnot. But Ni no Kuni kind of switched up its battle system completely and kind of has like an open arena kind of thing, almost like Dynasty Warriors in a way. Not like slicing through hordes of enemies, but you're placed on an open area and you're kind of just attacking into space.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how it does, but I'm very skeptical of it because just from the comments I've seen that not many people are looking forward to it. Because again, they're going with an open world trend or something like that and not keeping with just the kind of menu-based combat that people think that everybody wants to get rid of. But I don't know if this is the right way to go through for Ni no Kuni. But again, I'm not a veteran of the franchise, and I would love to hear your comments about it. But I am skeptical about this one, just as Mike was skeptical about Metal Gear.
Right. Well, it's just interesting because like the way they did it before worked. I mean, people loved it. So I just always think it's interesting, like why even switch it if it was working so well, you know?
Yeah, and it was at a point where I don't think it was getting stale either.
Right. Yeah, That's mind-boggling to me. And I guess you could say the same thing about Paper Mario. Like, just if something works, why change it? I don't know. That's a whole nother thing.
Well, I know the Paper Mario thing. One of the I think I found just really quickly. Sorry, is one of the issues is why do you make a battle system that has no incentive of being like to actually go into battles and have a finite resource as your way of battling? I don't understand that. But anyway, that's a different topic.
Yeah, no, but I get what you're saying. So, I mean, hopefully the new Ni no Kuni game has at least a combat system that's fun and playable, so it could still be enjoyable. But yeah, I can see why people would be upset.
I'm hoping that at least stays true to like the story aspect of it, and is still willing to take the risks when necessary.
Yeah, and like the presentation-wise, it does look like a normal Ni no Kuni game at least. So
yeah, at least the art style is still there, which is nice. But I'm hoping that it still continues to move along that path of more innovation without losing too much of its demographic. I don't want it to have to go the path of Sonic and what is it? Sonic and what's the other game that I was thinking of off the top of my head? Call of Duty, where it has to like go back to its basics to at least bring back some of its original fan base.
Right.
So
yeah.
hopefully it doesn't alienate them, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully.
Well, anyway, Travis, what's your second one?
Okay, so my second game is Agony, because you know how I love my horror games. And I honestly, when I watched the trailer, I was actually like, oh, this is so disgusting and creepy. I love it. And then I didn't like their dialogue. They said some nasty words in there, but I can get over that because like they nailed the environment being creepy as hell. And I didn't look too far into the story because if I do ever actually play this game, watching too much of a horror storyline it kind of kills it a little bit. But
you want to keep it fresh.
Exactly. But based on like the 1 to 2 trailers that I did watch of it, I was like legitimately creeped out, and I am interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I have a question for you Travis, and I guess also Mike. What kind of horror are you going for with these horror games? Are you looking more like a psychological horror thing, or are you going for like more jump scares kind of thing?
I like more of the psychological, because like honestly one of my favorite horror games is PT, and it's not even an actual game, it's just a trailer for Silent Hill that got canceled, and it's just because it just mind boggles you the entire time.
Okay, so I guess it's good that they're going for that then.
Yeah.
Because I mean overall I would just think it's not gonna be...
because like for me, like Outlast is one of my favorite games, but like I can honestly go back to the first Outlast and not even be scared anymore because I already know where all the jump scares are. And then
meanwhile, I'm gonna be
like me and Mike
a
did the
baby.
race for it, so it's like it was scary the first time or two I played it, whereas like the psychological stuff, it's still like creepy even without like I'm sure like everything, it will have like it'll lose its luster, but it at least lasts a little longer than jump scares, because like after you're like oh okay, and then you'll like remember it because you're like, I remember this part gave me a heart attack for no goddamn reason.
Yeah. This game also has a lot of nipples in it too.
It does.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
I didn't say that specifically was, a game changer, but nipples.
Confirmed, Travis likes demon nipples.
Yeah, that's what bumps him up from a 9 out of 10 game to a 10 out of 10 game.
But I will say, one of the cool things about this game, on a like totally unrelated side note, is that this is like a Kickstarter game. Mm-hmm. So the whole game got started based off of Kickstarter. And I always think it's super cool seeing companies like use that to sort of fund a game that they actually work hard for. Mm-hmm. And this seems like the kind of game that like people put their money in and funded it, and like they're really getting something worthy out of it. So I think that's super cool.
Yeah, because Kickstarter, sometimes they just give up right after they get a certain amount of money, and that's a shame. Yeah. So I definitely like it when they do put the effort in.
Exactly.
I think Kickstarter also more has a message of you're doing more of what you're passionate about, and I feel like when you show that passion, it does better at getting people excited and getting people to donate money there as well. If you're just trying to go for the direct money route, which people can do, and sometimes that's how they pump out sequels, I don't really like that as much. But I think Kickstarter does a better job of creating projects that are more internally like motivated to complete, not just we have a deadline to meet and we have to get out a physical product on this day, but I'm excited to see your thoughts on this, stuff like that.
Right, exactly. Okay, so if we're good, I think I'll move on to my last one.
Yeah, go for it.
And this is a pretty cool game, I think, called Far Cry 5, that is coming out in the month of March. This is a game that I'm super excited for, and a Nintendo that's not here, I know is probably excited too, and that is Matt. He low-key loved that game.
And another of us, Eric.
Eric too, yes. Eric also loves the Far Cry games. All the Nintendos that aren't around anymore are like in love with this series. And this one's really cool because it's set in Montana, which is totally weird. I don't think I've ever played a game that's set in Montana. That's kind of an original setting. It feels like this game. Yeah, it feels like this game it's sticking true to what Far Cry is in terms of like having like a crazy psychopath main villain with the whole cult following and everything. But on top of that, I really love the presentation of the game from what I've seen so far. There's like limited gameplay that's online, but the fact is you can still use vehicles. You still have like different outposts and areas that you're trying to hunt down. So in terms of all of that stuff, this game seems like it's really sticking true to its original style. I will say, at least in my opinion, Far Cry 4 wasn't one of the better ones. I feel like that one kind of stretched in terms of like the villains. I felt like they tried to drag the story on in that one. Far Cry Primal with the prehistoric stuff was cool, but it didn't feel like Far Cry because it was super prehistoric. So this feels like they're really trying to go back to their roots. This one kind of reminds me of Far Cry 3 in terms of like, for those of you that played Far Cry 3 and know who Voss is, the main villain in that game.
Is he the one with the pink suit?
He was the one that had the mohawk. The pink suit was the one that I wasn't a big fan of.
Okay, because I know Cody really likes the pink suit guy. That's like one of his favorite villains.
He's a cool villain because like he's kind of a good guy at times and kind of a bad guy at times. He's a psychopath, but that's kind of like, you know, what all the Far Cry villains are like.
True.
But Far Cry 3 I feel like just had the better story of like connecting you and making you really hate people. Far Cry 5 seems like it's going that route. And just the way it looks, everything in it seems so intense. It seems really fun. This is a great franchise, and I'm super excited to see how this game turns out.
Yeah, true king of Hyrule. If you say so. I remember you were the one that I was mentioning for a long time. You weren't gonna buy anything till Far Cry 5 comes out. I remember that because I saw multiple comments about that. But no, I think it looks interesting. I think a lot of other people that like watching these anticipated releases videos are excited for it as well. I mean, it is a great series, and I mean, I've seen there's multiple times where I've gone to like friends' dorms and they're just like sitting down and playing Far Cry. No words are being spoken. I was like, dude, you have something to do at midnight. He goes, not doing it, and just Far Cry. Like it's up there for like one of like the really, really well-known series, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's cool because it's mostly open world stuff, so it's a lot of like, it's kind of like Breath of the Wild, I would almost compare it to, where like you could just go off on your own and like fight enemy camps or go to shrines and stuff. That's what Far Cry is like. There's so many side quests and outposts for you to take over that you can just waste hours and hours and hours of time like not even doing the story mode. So I think for that alone, it's like super addictive. I think that's why when me and Eric did Far Cry Primal, we did like 5 hours of recording and did like 2 story missions because he was just obsessed with all the side quest stuff, and I totally get that.
But yeah, no, I got you. No, it seems like it'll be a fun game. I haven't done a ton of research on it, but I mean, I know people have loved Far Cry 3, and Eric has loved Far Cry Primal, so I'm hoping it does well.
For sure, yeah, and I feel like it will.
All right, do you have one more, Mike, or is that it?
Well, I guess the only thing I'll end it on is because I did say I had a couple other games. I just wanted to give a shout out to March because I think it's an awesome month, at least for me, because there's a lot of other really cool games coming out too. Travis mentioned a couple of them, like Bravo Team I do plan on getting. Yeah. But then there's the Devil May Cry HD collection, which is like the whole Devil May Cry series, which is something I'm super excited for. We have Attack on Titan 2. I don't know. Why, Jesus.
Bless you, sir.
We have, I think it's pronounced like Atelier or like Atelier. It's a really popular like anime JRPG type franchise that's finally coming out on a Nintendo console. That's coming out on Switch. So following that will be super exciting. So just a lot of the little games like that I think are really, really cool. So a lot of stuff to look at in this month. And then there's plenty of indie games that are coming out that look really fun too. So a lot of things to keep your eyes out for, definitely.
All right, cool.
But yeah, so with that being said, let us know what games you plan on buying this month. As we've mentioned a lot, there's plenty of options out there, and we're curious what you guys will be getting. So yeah, thanks everyone. And
bye.
Adios.